Hello and welcome to my continuing Alaska tours flights. Today we are in King Salmon, Alaska, and the aircraft is loaded up, ready to start. Be a short flight up to Anchorage, so I'm going to go ahead and start the recording now. And we're just doing a little de-icing of the aircraft before we do our departure. They should be done here shortly. They usually go away on their own. So, yeah, temperature is right at 0 degrees, so right at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. A little bit of light precipitation. And we can expect the same in Anchorage. A little lower ceilings will probably be pretty close to 300-foot ceiling and about a mile visibility, thereabouts, I think, is what we have set. So I'm just looking at that is our runway right out there. The runway's supposed to be dry. Kind of hard to do that, I guess, with continuous precipitation. So while we're waiting for the de-icing to quit, let's take a look at our route and approach. So we'll be departing here King Salmon, heading to the northeast up to CIFJI, RNAV fix, and continuing up to Tux. Then from there, we'll be doing the Kenai transition to the approach 7 right into Anchorage. And this is what Navigraph does. And it creates this point here, and then this fix here is our first on the approach. We'll see what the FMC has got. I think a very similar route as far as transitioning to the approach. So here's the planned approach. It calls this fix here. It's a waypoint. It's 30 some odd miles north of the Kenai VOR. FMC calls it the ENA 33 or 35. I forget, one of the two, whatever the mileage is. And then it takes a cut here, which is nice. It's a nice transition to Elias, our first fix on the approach. This is like 18 miles out, so it's very easy to get glide slope and localizer around somewhere in this area. The planned FMC calculated altitude is like 2,000, and you can be at 2,000 all the way from Kenai. From Kenai VOR. That's pretty low to be that far out. But we'll see what FMC does for us. But I found that anywhere around 3,000 or even above 3,500 out in this area here is very easy to pick up both localizer and glide slope. But we'll see what happens. This is this is a standard Cat 1 approach, 200-foot decision height, so it'll be 332. And its RVR is either 1,800 or half a mile. I think we've got a mile set with a 300-foot ceiling, so we'll be pretty close to minimums as far as the ceiling is concerned. Of course, the determining factor on the approach is the visibility. So we should be okay on visibility. I'm pretty sure that it's about a mile right now. Okay, let's get back to the aircraft. So as far as preparation, what I've done here is I've set 074 on the course selector, which is the course inbound for the ILS 7 right at Anchorage. And of course, we'll see the RNAV GPS course is up here until then, once LNAV becomes active. Hi, CP. My Myers parrot. Might be hearing her once in a while. Our V2 is 134. Checklist, I've seen it both ways. Either set V2 exactly or set V2 plus 15. I've set V2 plus 15. And frankly, I'm going to have to look to see what the thinking is, why the set V2 plus 15. That's what's set right now. I have 040 set on the heading bug. Our first, of course, to our first fix, CIFJI is 038, so that's a good backup. There are no climb restrictions whatsoever. Our planned altitude and cruising altitude is 50250. Navigraph says the route is 250 miles the way it's planned out. So it should be about a 45 minute air time, off and on time, and maybe close to an hour by the time we get block times. Okay, so to prepare for engine starts, we don't have any rampers here at King Salmon, and there's no need for better pushback. So what I'm going to do is prepare for engine start. I'm going to go ahead and get the main fuel tank pumps on. And let me just double check here. I don't think there's anything in the center tank. No. We have a little over 14,000 pounds of fuel. It should give us a good solid hour reserve. And I'm going to go ahead and, after engines get going, I'm going to get the engine anti-ice and wing anti-ice on. I already have the hydraulic electric pumps on. So, thank you. So I'm going to turn the left pack off to build up pneumatic pressure for the engine start, which we have plenty of. Oh, nuts. Forgot to set our cruise altitude of 50250. Should have done on the pre-flight. Anchorage is at 150 feet MSL, so I'll go ahead and set 150. All right. I think we're ready for engine start. So to cue the cabin crew, that's about to commence. What you do is turn the anti-collision light on, and we should get a message in the rear, and then a message up here in the flight deck indicating that the cabin, everybody's sitting down. I like to hear all that, so bear with me. I'll be switching back and forth in our views.
Boarding is now complete. Flight attendants prepare the cabins. Verify on door standby for all calls.
And then they'll begin before. Roger that. Thank you. And she came up and says everybody's strapped in. Later on, though, we'll get to hear about somebody still standing up. Okay, let's go ahead and get engines turning. So I'm going to go ahead and start turning 2. Okay, I'm watching N2 here on the lower ICAS. I've heard different numbers here, but I usually I actually think 25% is when you're supposed to add.
Launch position. Luggage under the seat in front of you completely. Laptops and DVD players should be turned off, unplugged, and under the seat in front of you.
I'm not sure what this is.
All devices must be unplugged. They may remain on in airplane mode and must be carried.
Okay, looks like we have a good start on 2. Verify start valve closed, which it has. So let's go ahead and start number 1. And the start switch, automatically will go back to the default before start location of auto. Another reason started recording now is this will be a short taxi. The runway is just right off to our left. So looks like N2 is coming up. Stabilized fuel flow is getting close to idle position. I think that start valve, yep, there it goes. Okay, looks like we got a good start.
brief you a very important safety message about the safety features.
Okay, we've got a good start on both. Let's get engine-driven generators online. Takes the APU generator offline. I don't know why it says ground power is available. All right, let's get pitot-static heat on. Oops, forgot to flow here. Let's get internal power on generator 1. Batteries on the bus where we need it. I'm going to go ahead and get wing and engine anti-ice going right now. Left pack goes to auto, and right pack goes to auto. APU bleed goes off. And lastly, we'll turn the APU off. I turned the volume from my speakers down a little bit, so I don't know how much of that is really coming through. All right, let's go ahead and blank the lower ICAS. So once again, V1 rotate is 120, I think it is. Yeah, 120. So the PNF will be calling that out. So let's get a block time this time. I keep forgetting to do that a lot of times, so I'm going to go ahead and, well, actually I see something I forgot. Need to set altimeter to the local pressure, 3009er. There we go. All right, now let's go ahead and get chronometer going. Release the parking brakes.
One cup over your nose and mouth. Lift the elastic band over your head and tighten by pulling the strap onto your thumb. Breathe normally, even though.
Okay. Let's see here. Let's see, we're using flaps 5 for takeoff. I'm going to go ahead and lower them down now. It's 3 clicks. I just like listening to these messages. You may not be able to hear this on the recording, but so we have 2 announcements to do. One, we need the captain's welcome message, and then last alert prior to takeoff, so the cabin crew knows what's happening. So let's see. This is the runway right here. Let's go and start turning. Well, definitely see precip on the runways and everywhere else. So we're out of the blocks at 0313. I think that's 7:13 local. We're 9 hours behind here in Alaska. Okay, our flap set for departure still need to do is arm the auto throttle, get the flight directors on, and then arm both LNAV and VNAV. I think they have stopped their communications, so I'm going to go ahead and do the welcome message.
Good morning, folks. From flight deck to chair captain, and for the ride, it looks like it should be pretty good. So we're planning on a smooth ride. Get there as soon as we can, as safe as we can. We'll talk to you once we get airborne. Log forward.
Okay. Looks like LNAV is looking pretty good. I'm not sure what the logic is here, what zibo is done, but sometimes it will show armed for departure, but then it actually won't arm. I'm going to stop here and get all this going. And so there's the auto throttle. There's flight director on the left, flight director on the right. Going arm VNAV. It's just it cracks me up. It's so odd. Why won't arm on the ground? Well, I've got this. That's why I put this heading in, because we'll see. We'll see if LNAV activates once we get airborne. If not, it'll activate heading select, and I've got the exact heading I would like. Here's our LNAV course to the north. I'm going to run the range down here a little bit. It's quite a ways to our first fix. It's like 83 miles, is that right? Yeah, 83 miles to the first fix. So let's go ahead and run there out a little bit further. There's 80. That's good for now. Okay. Now I'm not sure of what runway condition is. It's reported dry, so it should be okay for our takeoff. We have all anti-ice running here, so I'm going to go ahead and make an announcement to the cabin crew.
Flight attendants, prepare for takeoff, please.
And we should get a message up here saying cabin secure.
Okay, the cabin is secured. Have a good flight.
Yeah, roger that. Thanks, you too. All right. Let's actually, before I get out here, let's go ahead and get all our lights on. And logo light, sure. I'll turn the strobes on, and that should do it.
Approaching 1, 2.
Okay, this runway is like it's over 8,000. It's like 8,700. So, which is nice. Oh, I can't even see it.
On runway 1, 2.
There's the center line. Yeah, definitely in climate here. And it's going to probably be worse at Anchorage, but that's why we're going to fly the ILS. Oh boy, it feels slippery. I'm going to go out and look outside here. Well, let's see what happens. Like I say, I've got the temperature set right at 0. So, but you also have the runway dry because I don't feel like dinking with ice. But let's get this bird in the air. So 0318, start of departure, 6 minutes into our block time. Advance the power up.
On runway 1, 2. On runway 1, 2.
There's about mid-range and power stabilize. I'm going to go ahead and select takeoff power. Yeah, looks like heading select is going to be active.
80 knots.
Oh boy, I'm not getting very much rudder.
V1 rotate.
Good. Wasn't getting much rudder control there. Come on, let's get going.
Positive rate.
Gear up, flaps 2.
$400. 400.
That's when LNAV is supposed to take effect or become active.
1,000.
Okay, flaps 1. I'm just watching the airspeed tape. Okay, Anchorage wants us to wait till we're above 2,000 before turning heading on 040. Okay, we're up at flaps up speed, so flaps up, gear off. And of course, oh, Nelly Bell. Come on. Oops, sorry about that. Come on, fly the airplane. We're also way too fast here. So, let's see. Boy, this baby climbs. I'm hand flying right now. I should have turned it over to VNAV, which commanded to have better control of our speed, but we're slowing down. I'm going to get us over here to a 040 heading, which should pretty much parallel our course, LNAV course. In fact, I'm going to go ahead. No, I'm going to fly the airplane is what I'm going to do here. Okay, now we're at our speeds we need to be at. Got a little bit of trim going. So I went ahead and plan on connecting this flight. Oh, come on, keep the nose up. A little more during the daytime. So we're going to have low ceilings and viz and some precipitation, but doggone it. I could have decreased the power is what I should have done. Alright, let's go ahead and get autopilot on here. Which will relieve the the scenery a little bit, make it a little easier when it's a little lighter out to see things. So, yeah, I should have reduced the power manually, because usually the easy thing to do is just autopilot on and get VNAV in control. And I have no idea, this keeps coming up every time, every departure. I don't know why. I'm not sure what it's looking at. And also what's good to see here, well, looks like the control yoke was moving slightly. Has been having this rolling back and forth issue. So if you're on last leg's flight to King Salmon, latter half, I entered in a pretty aggressive null zone. Hold on.
Use all approved personal electronic devices. We'll be serving a variety of complimentary drinks as well as select beer and wine. In addition, there are other alcoholic beverages for purchase. Now we'd like to sit back, relax, and enjoy our service on tonight's flight. If there's anything we can do to make them enjoyable, please don't hesitate to call upon us. Thank you.
Again, I don't know if the volume of those cabin announcements are coming through, but I like to hear them. All right, so to initiate our proceeding on LNAV, I'm going to go ahead and turn us here to the left and see if we can start getting a little closer to ensure that when you activate LNAV that we won't get an aircraft down on intercept course message. And that should be pretty good. Bring us a little closer. Okay, our top of climb is about 30 miles away. You can see that on the PFC, well, 20 miles away. Magenta numbers here are what's active, going to 528 or 250. Targeted econ climb speed right now is 288 indicated. This will be our climb speed. And usually it switches over, you'll get a little higher. It may not, it just may stay on indicated since we're not going up very high. Let's bring the range in a little bit here. I'll turn this a little bit more. 020. That definitely intercepts the LNAV track. The white dotted line here is what the aircraft is doing. Okay, above 50180, I'm going to go and switch to standard. Okay, on a 20-mile scale, let's bring this in a little bit more. There's a 10-mile scale. This curved green line is when we're forecast to be at our set altitude. You can see now the green line is getting close to top of climb. So we're just a little less than a 20-degree intercept to this track. I'm going to do one of the things you can do if you're left on your own is what you can do is bring CFIJI down scratch pad and back up again, and the FMC will, oh, I can't see that. Well, recalculate course to it. Right now it's saying 037. And let's activate that. So it's now, see, it's now changed to 034. That puts us right on the track. So I'm going to go ahead and activate LNAV. Okay, LNAV is going to capture it. It's in the rectangle here until it actually gets to the capturing it. And once we're on the LNAV course, then rectangle goes away, which is the case now. So that's one thing here we have to do in our virtual flying, but in reality, ATC may or may not have given us a vector. Probably not, in which case, well, initial heading on departure like 040, but then would have been cleared direct to, what do you want to call that fix? Charlie India, Foxtrot, Juliet India, whatever that fix is, and then proceed when able. So that's what we did. And I did set the cloud layers a little lower. That's why it's kind of nice to see some blue sky here. But I do like making arrivals. 1,000 to go, confirmed. I do like making arrivals toward the end of, towards the sunset time, because it's just so pretty. So I may do that. Of course, I'll be doing a break here in the recording. We get to altitude, although we're not going to be very far off. I estimate right now we're only following about 30 minutes to the top of descent, maybe a little bit more. So as we're settling down here into our cruise, it's coming up on 50250. VNAV is showing us on the path. By the way, it'll show VNAV speed SPD, Sierra Papa Delta, until we do get to the path. And FMC is directly in control of our speed now. It's commanding 300 knots. The ground speed's up to 424. I set it a higher cost index this time. I really would like to see better than 440 on our ground speed, but such a short flight may not make a whole lot of difference. I did set, I did not set any takeoff or climb restrictions. Went ahead and told the FMC what our temperature was right at 0 degrees centigrade. So I'm going to run the range out. What the heck was that? Run the range out. There's our, okay, top of descent's right there. 80, so about 100 miles. Let's go ahead and do our cruise announcement.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, we've reached our cruising altitude. Looks like we are anticipating on-time arrival. You're going to have to turn on the seatbelt this time. Just remember, if you are in your seats, keep your seatbelts fastened in case we do experience any unexpected turbulence with the flight. And if there's anything we can do to make your ride, to let a member of the crew know.
Okay, I can still see some just very minor pitching. You can see the control yoke here. It's just ever so slightly. And that here again is, well, let's take a quick look. If you did not see my previous flight, this might be of interest in case you've experienced it. Okay, what was happening is these numbers were going increasing. It was actually a minus something or another. These numbers would go up to a certain number, then go back to zero, up to a certain number, go back to zero. And that apparently is what was causing this, just these gentle and short turns left and right. So during the last flight later portion, and I increased the null zone up to this number here, 25. I guess it can go up to 30. And that seemed to do a pretty good job. So if it's not broken, don't fix it. So that's the way it's going to be. So while we're over here on our EFD, whatever you like to call it, EFB or G, flight bag. This is our approach, and this is tied in with Navigraph, so as we get into the approach, we'll see our course coming up here on the transition and making our turn for the inbound. All right, let's take a look at our progress page. Actually, before we do that, I always forget to turn up the lights until it's, not that it's late, but then it's soon have them on now. This will also make the whole panel. I love the lighting in the Zibo's aircraft. It is just so perfect. All right, that's plenty high. In fact, that might be too high. When it gets dark, I'm also going to turn up the panel lights on the overhead. So let's take a look at what's happening here. Okay, so still 345 right here is our FMC calculated time to our top of descent. It's in 94 miles. 0345 is well, it's less than that. It's 4 and 5, so we're less than 15 minutes, 13 minutes or so from our top of descent, which we can see here on the ND. There's our next fix is Tux, so it looks like just past Tux. We'll be starting on down. Going back, let's look at the progress page. And this will give us more information. This is our first fix on departure was simply the runway at King Salmon. Our current waypoint, CIFJI, 6 miles to go to it, 81 miles to Tux, and it's estimating here again 0345, 87 miles to our top of descent, estimating Anchorage at 0405, 174 miles to go to it, and it's estimating 9,000 pounds of fuel at that time. So 0406, 0406, so that's about 27 minutes to our destination and about 13 minutes to our top of descent. Take a quick look outside. Oh, there we begin our turn to Tux, I do believe. Yeah, I think on the break, I'm going to make it a little later in the day. Like I said, I like near sunset for the arrival time. So it was pretty nice, though. The takeoff went pretty smoothly. I expected a little more slippery in this based on what we're seeing on the runway, but it was very manageable. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and pause recording for about 10 minutes here until we get close to or on our descent into Anchorage. I do have Anchorage VOR number 2. It's showing 162 miles to it, and the RMI is showing the course to it. And if I'm not mistaken, we can actually see that on our approach plate. Yeah, the 246 out of the TED VOR, that's Anchorage VOR, Tango Echo Delta, is the 24, oops, is that 246? Yeah, 246. It's on an arc, this would be the lead-in, the last lead-in radial, and 252 out of the TED VOR is pretty much on course, it looks like. So we can look at the RMI. So as we approach, in fact, that's a good thing to do as we, on this transition route, we'll be looking at 246, and that'd be a good cue to make sure we're on the approach function on the ND. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pause recording, and we'll talk to you once we're on our descent, somewhere on descent into Anchorage. Okay, back with you. We're on our descent, just leaving 50170. On our way down, I've gone ahead and set 5,000 as our initial altitude to go down to. And our present waypoint is that RNAV waypoint that FMC puts in. Hello. This ENA-33, flying a 027 course to it. Then after that, we'll be turning to 000 or 360 for intercept to Elias. It's a little steep for me. In fact, I might set a different heading. Anchorage is 0554, so we're, I can say, about 13 minutes or so out. I'll go back to the descent page. And this is the only hard altitude that the FMC knows about, which is in agreement with what's on the chart. You can be down as low as 2,000 feet on this transition. The same thing shows here on the legs page. So that's where we're heading. And that fixes probably about 10 minutes away. So while we're down here, let's go to the INET ref button here. Brings up the approach ref page. I like 30 degrees of flaps for landing. So it'll be 130 knots for our Vref speed. Click it again, puts it down here, which now will show up on the airspeed tape on the PFD. Anchorage going to 7 right, 12,356 feet long. ILS is tuned. Well, it's armed. 111.3, which is correct. Identifier India Alpha November Charlie. Inbound course is 074. We'll look for that to be armed on the PFD. Okay, going through 2000. Let's go back to the Lakes page here. So that fix is still 32 miles off. Let's bring in our range in. And as I said, this is the standard 200.5 Cat 1 approach we're doing. I believe there's up to a Cat 3 approach, which is special air crew and equipment required. But this will be the standard one, so I set 200 on our barrel. That'll be our, of course, that's above ground level. Anchorage is at 152, so decision height is 352, and this will give us the audio call out when we're at that altitude, which will be 200 feet above the ground. Okay, so it's doing a pretty good job this time slowing us down to 250. It's actually come in at 240. Also, I made it a little later in the day. I think it's let's see, it should be like 9:40. 0540, it's 9 hours, no, it's 8:40. So it's 8:40 local. So it'll be fairly dark once we make our arrival. And let's see, let's update our ETE. Let's go back to send page, the progress page. Oh, no. Progress. Okay, 0555. So 14 minutes out. Usually I give the before landing announcement about 10 minutes out. So, well, it did take a little while here to slow down. So I'm going to do is set, actually this is a good heading right here. The inbound course after this fix for coming up onto Elias is going to fly a heading of 360. That's a pretty stiff intercept, 70-degree intercept to the inbound course 074. So I kind of like, in fact, I'm going to set, let's set 025, which is about a 50-degree intercept, in case we want to go to heading select after this fix. So Elias is only, just under 5 miles after we cross this fix here, the ENA-33 fix. So at that point, we'll make a decision. I may very well go to heading select at that point in time, so we make a little more gradual intercept. Okay, we're down to a nice speed now, 240 knots. So 17 miles now to go to this fix, ENA-33. And here's our Vref now showing up on the airspeed tape on the PFD, 130 knots while using 30 degrees of flaps. So far, our block time on this trip is 42 minutes. Well, the VPI, visual path indicator, shows we're actually catching up with it here. Not getting any drag required message yet. It's kind of a surprise. Okay, we're cleared now down to 3,000. And this will probably be the altitude I'll hold to intercept the course. And it looks like we're going to get there. This green arc here is that indicator of when we'll reach 3,000. Looks like we're going to get there, well, pretty much right at Elias. Which won't be all that bad. 18 miles out, that should be a pretty good altitude. In fact, I would not be surprised if that's a typical clearance from Anchorage approach. I wouldn't be surprised if it's even higher. It's all radar coverage. As long as the radar can see us, they can clear us further out. Because of course, localizers are line of sight. So there are no restrictions whatsoever. Anchorage is right on the water, and there are no restrictions out to the west, so we should easily be able to get clearance from a higher altitude. Okay, we are getting down to 5,000. About 10 minutes out, so I'm going to go ahead and make my prepare for landing message.
Please prepare the cabin for landing.
Okay, we should get a. Oh no, let's go back. We don't like. We'll get her a cabin crew announcement.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we enter ground open for landing, we ask you to take this opportunity to refill any cabin luggage and handies during the flight. In just a few moments, the flight attendants will be coming through to collect all remaining service items. Please assist your flight attendants by bringing all seat backs upright, returning tray tables in their secure position, and double checking the security of your seat belts. At this time, all electronic devices must be turned off and stowed. Thank you.
Okay, I went ahead and added flaps up to 2, which is now commanded 163 from the FMC. We're coming up on an IS here. I'm kind of surprised it hasn't auto-tuned ILS yet. But it is. I have tuned it into the number 1 nav manually.
1,000 to go.
1,000 to go confirmed. Well, we're still a little bit off the course from it, so should be seeing it pretty soon. So I'm going to go ahead and hold the 3,000, assuming that to be our maintain altitude 2. Up there it comes. Okay, switching the ND now to approach mode, and there is our localizer right here. There's our glide slope, and looks like the FMC is doing a pretty good job. I don't know why it wants drag. We're just about to level off. And it's making a, yeah, it's shallowing the turn now. So actually, that's the 000 heading it's turning to, which is not bad. It's going to require, oh, this is interesting. Let's on the localizer here. It's actually turned to 043 heading, which, so it's turning gradually to Elias, which is not, okay, here it comes. Alright, so it looks like I don't have to intervene. Localizer is captured, in fact. Let's go on to full approach. So we're in VNAV out right now because the FMC wants to go down to 2,000. I've got it set at 3, and that's why we have the VNAV out display here. And if I wanted to clear that, I can actually do the altitude intervention button right here. But I'm not going to do that. We're looking good. We're below glide slope. Slowing down to a nice speed. 163 knots is commanded. It's a little slow. I'm not sure what the logic is here in the FMC, because that's certainly plenty slow for not having any flaps, or excuse me, we have flaps 2, and we can go up to 230 knots with flaps 2. So I'm not sure what, well, what's instigating it is right here, as this tape right here, this commanding 2 degrees flaps, and you can see right here, this is the speed. It's been programmed to maintain with 2 degrees of flaps. That's why we see it commanded. Oh, I don't know. In the future, I might hold the flaps, keep the flaps up a little longer. In fact, if crews stay on FMC airspeed control, then that would be a requirement, because major airports like this, it does require usually faster speeds. I'm going to do here, even though I have this course on the other ND set to 040, I'm going to go and select it to the approach mode as well. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I know why. Because I need to set it at number 2 VOR. That's why this message is showing up. I've been wondering whether or not this aircraft is capable of auto-landing, so I'm going to do, we really don't need this VOR readout. I'm going to go ahead and change number 2 nav to 111.3. And I'm going to be real curious whether or not this aircraft can do autoland. Okay, so that should clear the EFIS message about disagreeing with what's on the nav, and yep, it sure did. So, what I might do, as much as I love to fly and land this airplane, it's such a beautiful thing to fly. I'm going to try selecting Autopilot 2 here. Okay, the full approach is has been selected. Glide slope's just coming alive. And preparation for that, I'm going to go flaps 5, special colleague command a slower speed, which it does. I'm going to go ahead and lower the gear. Glide slope's now been intercepted. Gear's being extended. I'm going to try turning on autopilot. I think it's B, and see what happens. If it's not equipped for autoland, what will happen is it'll just disengage autopilot we currently have engaged, and then just activate this one. That's interesting. Okay, they both are staying on. However, I'm still seeing a single command line here. So, at this point, the fact that they're both on in tells me that it may do an autoland even though it's not commanded yet. I'm not sure what other step you have to do, so I'm not going to worry about it. I don't want to fly the airplane here. Let's take care of business. We need to go to flaps 10. You might have to get closer, I don't know. So you're only 8 miles out right now. And maybe Zibo has not programmed it into the aircraft. I don't know. I'm not worrying about it. Okay, let's go flaps 15. This is a great speed as far as I'm concerned. Our Vref is right down here. So we're about Vref plus 22 right now. Okay, our next fix, LNAV wise, is the runway. So I have to assume at this point it is not going to do an autoland. If I saw dual here or double, I might think it is going to. Oh, there we go. It had to get closer. Land 3. I'm not sure why it enunciates land 3. So this took a little longer than I expected. In the 7478, it happens almost immediately. So we're 5 miles out. I'm going to be lazy here, and I'm going to let this airplane land itself. Okay, flaps 25 are now set. 5 miles to go. We should be breaking out probably around 400 feet, I think, estimating. This will be kind of fun. Yep, that's what.
1,000 feet stabilized, Mr. Birch, altitude set.
Roger that. Confirmed. Rollout and flare are both commanded. I not set the missed approach altitude.
Approaching 7 right.
Which is 1,600 feet. So I'll go ahead and set that. Yeah, this is a first for me, so I believe what happens is this commands their rollout, lateral, of course, and this commands the flare. Oh, okay, there we go. That's interesting. It actually got too low here. Okay, we're on the ground. Okay, everything's been disarmed. Going to go ahead and add reverse. Rollout is still commanded, so it's keeping the aircraft tracking straight here.
Knots. 80 knots.
80 knots. Okay, rest reverses are now canceled.
4,000 feet remaining.
Going to add a little bit of brakes. Okay, brakes released. I like listening to these.
Thank you for flying with us today. We hope you had a pleasant experience. We look forward to serving you again. Thank you, and have a pleasant afternoon.
All right, well, that's pretty cool. I've done that numerous times. Well, I shouldn't say real numerous times when I was teaching 47400 at Flight Safety Boeing, but did enough times so crews got very comfortable with it. So what's one of the big changes going from the 747-2 or 747-100? is autoland capability. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start the brakes here. Ooh, we're a little slippery here. Okay, and we'll climb up the airplane here momentarily. Let's take a look at that approach. Okay, we're about 1,200 feet AGL right now. And I was kind of surprised to see the autoland system actually ducked below the glide slope, which was kind of a surprise. Did a plenty nice job of landing, though. Commanded properly, roll out through the lateral channel and flare. So it did the flaring very nicely. So it should be breaking out here shortly. See, it's doing everything here. It's adding power. It's flying the aircraft. I should have put the ceiling down a little lower. See, it got a little low here. I'm not sure what it was targeting. Well, that was a smoothie. I sure can't complain about the landing, that's for sure. Okay, there go the reversers. There's a slick runway, so that's why I stayed off the brakes. And actually, checklist calls for 80 knots or less, which we were at when I did apply the brakes. Okay, let's go back to real time. Okay, so I brought up AVS, Airport Visual System, for our taxi. We'll be actually crossing 7 left here at Delta, I believe, and heading up or to the left down to Kilo, and then transitioning over to Echo, and then we'll be parking somewhere in this area. So what we need to do here is get the aircraft cleaned up. And I suppose that if traffic permitted, ground would allow us to back taxi, but which reminds me, I'm going to go ahead and add X Live traffic. Let's turn it on. It'll pause everything. I like X traffic. It's a cool plugin. It adds, of course, traffic on the ground as well as traffic in the air. I've never actually seen traffic in the air, with one exception. But traffic on the ground is fun, especially if you're not departing. Because sometimes it can really be a nuisance if you really want to treat it as real traffic. So what I'm going to do here is traffic straight ahead. Taxi straight ahead, and we're going to bear to our left. I'm going to let's see. Did I release the parking brake? No. Okay, let's get back inside. So I'm going to go up here a little ways and then bear to our left. The PNF, of course, would be getting everything going for us. So that was kind of a treat to do autoland. And I guess I'm not surprised it's not capable of doing it. It did it with 2 autopilots, which was kind of a surprise. So we need to, well, let's see what I can do here while we're taxiing. I'm going to get the speed brakes down, get the flaps up. I can feel the aircraft slipping a little bit. So physically, the aircraft's cleaned up, and then you get off the lights and get the APU going. So usually what's capable of the aircraft is you can actually get this thing stopped. At the previous taxiway, we took Delta, but a lot of times, especially in the 37200 from FJS, I've easily stopped and gotten off at Gulf down there. We can see. Well, let's see. We have idle power set here. Let's get the power up a little bit. That's probably pretty good. Frankly, you can see the light there swinging back and forth, and that. My understanding is that the taxi light is directly connected to the nose wheel, so it should follow what the nose wheel is doing. So I'm being a conservative old timer here. I'm keeping the taxi slow because it is slick. We are right at freezing with precipitation. Okay, looks like we got a straight stretch here. And I'll be, of course, watching our taxi on AVS. So I'm going to go ahead and start turning things off that we don't need. I'm going to get the power back here a little bit. So on the overhead, what we want to do is get all the lights off. And the first two switches over here are two-way. You actually have to click them twice. And we don't need runway and identifier lights. Leave the taxi light on for now. Blue light needs to go on. Strobes off, so we get just steady nav. And the collision lights needs to stay on. We'll turn the wing lights off. And last step, let's get the APU going. Turn it on, wait for the low pressure light, which they're all displayed. I'll go ahead and just momentarily hit it for a couple seconds. Here it comes. Okay, we're ready to park. So what I'm going to do is hang a right here. Oh, there's some X-Life traffic. Well, you landed the other direction. Well, they do have a mind of their own. I think if I go to departure information on X-Life, it's going to show 25s are in use. So that's why we saw traffic lining that direction. So what we're going to be interesting to see here is how much traffic X-Life has populated. Oh, looks like we've got something coming out. I'm going to go outside. I think he's coming in this direction, actually. Oh, no, he's going the other way. That's interesting. I'm not sure where he's going. Company's going. Okay, now it looks like the taxi light is doing what I thought it would do. Now, one thing would be nice is if AVS supported AutoGate, X-Life traffic, because then we could see actually aircraft on its taxi diagram. It doesn't support it apparently. You can do that on other airports, but not here. Okay, looking at our traffic here. Oh boy, they have a full house here. Well, looks like we might have Charlie 1 open, and we definitely do have spots over to our right in the Bravo concourse. Looks like there's one up just about our 12 o'clock. I haven't liked Charlie 1 because a lot of times they leave a whole bunch of equipment. Actually, Charlie 1's Looks like it actually might be okay. We're not going to be using the jetway. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and take it. Looks like we have one further up. Charlie 2, 3, 4. Looks like Charlie 5 is open. I'm going to go ahead and take Charlie 1. Never taken Charlie 1. And this is where I like AVS because this diagram we're seeing on AVS is extremely accurate. All right. So Alaska Airlines announced arrival of Flight 738 service from ADAC and King Salmon. Passengers can be met at Charlie 1 gate. Oh, I'm not liking it so much. I'm not liking that. I'm going to go ahead and take for a change here. I'm going to park. I'm going to go back and look at Charlie 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think Charlie 5 is open. This is Alaska's Concourse, Charlie's. I could go over to Bravo 6 or 4, which is directly ahead, I guess. That would be pretty easy. All kinds of ground traffic in the way will be interrupting all our GHT traffic. Well, I think I'm going to do here is let's go to our right here. And we'll take Bravo 6. I've seen a lot of Alaska traffic park here as well. I don't want to belabor this either. I'm trying to keep recordings down fairly short as much as possible. So I'm not recording startup pre-flight procedures because it takes time. And I always start cold and dark. So what we're doing here is telling the cabin crew to change in gates. Although what's probably more applicable are doing that inside the terminal so people can move from what I was planning, Charlie 1, over to Bravo 6. And we don't have a marshaller here. So I'll probably marshal myself in. And but for procedure, I'm going to turn off the taxi light as soon as we get somewhat going in the direction we want to go. I'll pretend to be the marshaller. So I'm going to stop here fairly early as well because, whoa, you can see that slip. And in fact, I'm going to set the parking brake for now. I'm going to go inside, turn off the taxi light. And actually we don't need AVS anymore. So I'm going to go outside and marshal myself in. And this has a nice uncluttered ramp, it looks like. So brakes released, a little bit of power. So I'm going to be stopping here fairly quickly. You want to stop before those horizontal red lines. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Okay, brakes are set. Okay, the first thing I want to do is get a few generators online. takes the engine generators off, even though the generators are running. I mean, engines are running. Next, I'm going to go ahead and shut the engines down. Come on. There we go. Next, let's oops. Check ICAS. Looks like the engines are shutting down normally. Next, let's go ahead and get the fasten seatbelt signs off. So people can start getting up. Next, we'll start shutting down. Actually, no, I'm going to leave engine heat light, windshield heat lights on. Static heat off. I'll turn it off. Well, wing on. The IS already turned off. That must be some sort of logic. This seems to shut itself off. We will turn engine anti-ice off. Electric fuel pumps are going off. Ref pack will go on. APU bleed will go on. And we want to turn the inclusion light off. And let's see. I'm not sure what's buzzing here. So inclusion light is off. Wing light is off. Nav lights are on. Logo lights on. I'm going to turn the fuel pumps off. This probably has something to do with auto flight. I'm just checking over. Actually, I know what it is. Oh. Okay, never mind. Let's turn off the... Oh no. Let's see, that's okay. Let's check the panel. What doesn't... Oh, autopilot. Yeah. Thank you, Cheesh. Okay, I think we are ready to end this flight leg. What you have to do, get the doors to open. Let's start bringing up our ground handling folks. So let's see. I'm going to estimate we're about 5 minutes thinking around here. So we're looking at the chronometer. Looks like about an hour and 10-minute block. Sounds about right. Let's check our doors. Yay. Okay, here come the stairs. So I'm going to get the doors open. And get aft cargo. The cargo doors open. Get the service doors open. The aft and forward entry doors open. And here they come. Okay, precipitation is light enough to where the air stairs are not covered. So it must be still pretty light precipitation. It's just really cool. I love it. You get any stronger precipitation, these actually get covered. That's a very, I just love all the attention to detail. Okay. We are at Anchorage. Some inclement weather for sure. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do next. I might go east. Destinations, oh, I can't think of the name of it. It's an Indian name. But down in the southeast we have Sitka, Juneau, and Ketchikan. And the latter two are pretty long flights, so I may use Zibo's 900 for those. Plus the fact that the loads are up much higher for those destinations. Or the 747 over to our right. Looks like he is not sure where he wants to go. There is parking for a lot of these transient folks off to that direction. But to the west, two flights still planned, one to Nome and one to Kotzebue. Kotzebue is a pretty long trip. I think it's like 400 plus miles. So that's kind of the plan. for our next Alaska Tours flights. And I may do, now that we're back in Anchorage, I may do a flight in SSG's Supercritical Simulation Group's 747-8, which is really fun for me. And being a former instructor in the 747-400 for flight safety Boeing, it's just fun to get into a newer version of the aircraft, and Xavier Cortez's flight management computer. Okay, I think we'll go ahead and say goodnight, good afternoon, whatever the case may be at your end. Thanks so much for watching. Once again, I've been out of the game here for over 15 years, so any comments, plus or minus, are certainly appreciated. If you like what you see here, there are more coming. Be sure to check out the other parts to this series, and check out my 747-8 flight. Okay, take care. We'll talk with you on the next flight. Night.